You're listening to Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast. Comics, television, movies, and more. If it impacts fan culture, we have something to say about it. And now, your hosts, Michael, Jordan, Cliff, and Seth.
So now we are going to our number 4.
4.
And it's Russ's turn, it looks like, and he and I have the same number 4, so we're going to talk about it right now.
Sweet.
And it is, as we just mentioned, GoldenEye 007. It was the precursor to this Modern Warfare game we were doing, but I mean, this swept the nation. This was so popular. This is the original split screen deathmatch. Yeah. Deathmatch comes from GoldenEye. I mean, we played that so much. I mean,
they should have a golden gun in every game.
Everyone that has played that knows pistols, one shot only, no odd jobs.
No odd jobs. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, just played that so much. I loved. I mean, first off, the single player game is a great game in its own. You know, it's awkward. It's got the same kind of vibe as Shadows of the Empire. This was that N64, you know, blocky graphics, but it was so much fun. And I mean, what do you think?
Well, like Cliff with Turok, this was right after I got out of the military, and I was living in Kent. I went to Kent State with my buddy from high school, and Sarah and I were dating at the time, so she would come over and stay in the apartment, and we would play 3-player GoldenEye. And holy crap, we used to fight and argue and everything else so much over, you know, it's just so many memories. But that was such a great game. But I never played the actual storyline. We only ever played the versus game.
Well, this actual storyline is really good. It was obviously based on the GoldenEye movie at the time. It was super popular. It was the first Pierce Brosnan movie, and it was really fantastic. And the only thing, one negative thing that it's known for is the girl, I think her name Natalia. But this is one cliche hated game trope is the escort mission, where there's somebody in this level, you have to get them somewhere safely, and they're just running around like an idiot. And while there's a war going on, and you were just you cannot keep them alive. It's like herding cattle, you know. And it was known for that was like one of the hardest levels on that game, but I loved it.
And it's strange that the Pierce Brosnan James Bond movies are kind of forgotten, but that game. That game outlasted the movie.
Yeah, that game for sure.
Absolutely right. Excellent. I love that game. Cliff, you get to go again.
I told you I'm just burning them off.
Right, number 4.
Number 4. Oh, this is a newer game for me. Injustice, Gods Among Us. Got to get that colon in there.
Yeah.
This, I've talked about it before. This is, of course, with the Mortal Kombat engine, with DC Comics characters.
This is the only fighting game that I can recall seeing on this list, and I was kind of surprised nobody else had it. I couldn't slip my favorite fighter in there. It just didn't make the list. I had Mortal Kombat 2 was mine. Yeah. But yeah, it's the same engine.
Right. Just better characters. Yeah, so we got this pretty quickly after it came out. My son and I fell in love with this game. It's just a Mortal Kombat. Yeah, it's DC. Great characters, and this was our game we play at Christmas. For years, everybody would come over to my house, and we'd be at my house. Some of you have probably played it on Christmas evenings at this table at my house. And we played it for a while, and then it got to be the point where the only time we ever drug it out was Christmas Day. Yeah. It's our Christmas game. Sounds weird, but yeah, fun. Superman,
fun
Batman.
To watch a bunch of people that haven't played the game really since last year.
That was the experience. That exactly was like, I remember I used to know how to do this move a year ago.
We're all at the same skill level,
right? So yeah, you just mash buttons and yell a lot. So, but It was really popular. The comic is still going. It's had a sequel. We have Injustice 2 that we're currently playing. It's still at my house.
And next week, the miniseries Injustice / He-Man is out.
Ooh.
Oh, wow.
So we're crossing over the Injustice universe and Eternia.
Well, I remember watching like that whole cutscene thing for that game is super long and really good. It looks better than any of the DC movies other than Wonder Woman that they've come out with. Like it's
actually one of those games where I played the story mode all the way through and, to beat it. And it was just as fun as, beating the crap out of your son.
Nothing's as much
as he's Superman and you're like Catwoman.
You're Bo Jackson.
Right. So,
is that another Joust reference?
Yeah. Awesome. Jordan, finish up our number 4.
Number 4. I have a sports game too.
Ooh.
My sport is baseball.
Yeah.
And thinking back, everyone seems to remember RBI baseball. That was kind of a famous one. Mm-hmm. The players were really short and pudgy, and they ran like Babe Ruth. And I had that game and liked it. And then later on, the show, every year a new one comes out.
Right.
And those got super realistic. And those were really fun. But my game was somewhere in between those. Was Ken Griffey Jr. Presents Major League Baseball.
Play ball.
So this was 1994 for the Super Nintendo. And like Tecmo, they had the MLB license. So they had all the teams, but they didn't have the Players Association.
Yeah.
So they basically put all the players on there with their numbers and their stats, but they named them different things. And the developers must have a sense of humor because they got silly with it. Like the California Angels were, you just got the first initial and the last name. It was like F. Astaire, H. Bogart, and J. Wayne. Like they were all movie stars.
Yeah.
And the and then I loved seeing this as a kid. The Brewers were P. Parker, C. Kent, and B. Wayne. Like they were all like comic book guys. Yeah. And then you went to the Astros and it was W. Eisner, F. Miller, S. Lee. I was like, they're dropping comic book creators. This is amazing. So it was cool to go around the league and try to pick out who. And some of them were like the names of the developers themselves. And it's like, you couldn't have guessed that. But like every team, it was almost like, do I recognize this or is this too obscure for me? So that was fun. But you could also go in and change the names. So I was always the Reds. And we went in and changed it to Barry Larkin and all the big players at the time. So, this game, it was one of the first ones with real teams, and they give you different stadiums. So, like, Dodger Stadium looked different than Fenway Park. And it was the first one, at least they had a real umpire, Steve Palermo, did the voice acting, and play-by-play from Jack Buck, who was like a Hall of Fame broadcaster. Right. So, they went all out for that. And this was the first one I'd ever played that like kept stats and let you do a season mode. So my brother and I, like you could do 162 games, man, and try to get to the World Series, and it kept your stats as you went. It's like, Barry Larkin's hitting 360, we're going all the way this year. Like, it was so cool to track that over time. And you could, I can't lose this. This is my rival. I can't lose to them, and it'll keep your standings in the standings.
Oh,
yeah. So just the amount of hours put into this game could be more than any other ones on this list. I'm not sure, but I just had a blast playing it.
Yeah, I used to love playing those sports games too.
3.
We're down to our number 3s.
Wow.
And Cliff.
Yes.
It's your turn to start it off, but your number 3 was Russ's number 5. So you guys can tell us all about this classic.
Going back to the Atari 2600 again. Very popular game on that system.
The most popular game probably on that system.
Much like Joust, Double Dragon, you could play together simultaneously in one of the several of the levels. But Space Invaders, the classic arcade game, came home on the Atari 2600.
That's right.
The arcade game
might have been so popular Was it like the first game?
It came out in like 1978.
Yeah, I think it was like the first one.
That was great.
I don't know.
I was born.
I was known.
You were known. But in 1980, it came out on Atari. This year. So yeah, this was, it was just an insanely fun game. You had a little laser cannon. You had the, of course, the harder levels, but for the most part, you hid behind the barricade, the three barricades, and you had to move in between and shoot the aliens as they were shooting at you and dropping down. And
the spaceship.
the purple, the purple blimp at the top that you get the big points. But oh gosh, I can still hear that going across the screen. Yeah, but when you got to that last guy and he took off, man, you want to talk about nerve-wracking.
Not only that, but I don't know how many times I'd actually shoot a hole through the barricade.
Oh yeah,
so that you could shoot up instead of just yeah. But the funny thing is, my dad got this game, and I remember that he was actually better at it than I was, and so he was constantly, and he was trying to show me how to play it. But that was a very big game for me because it's actually one that I played with my father. So.
That's one of the most iconic games that we've named, I would say. All right, so now it's my number 3. Is another PC game. I remember that when this came out, I just loved it so much, from Valve. Half-Life.
Good morning.
Just what anybody played Half-Life?
Oh yeah.
I mean, Gordon Freeman, Black Mesa, working there. You go work one day. It was just so presented so well. It's known for the graphics.
Yeah, the graphics were really good.
Were so good, and the offbeat humor of the way it was presented. He goes to work. Goes to work one day, and just goes about his business, and then is doing some testing, and things go haywire. Things are getting. I mean, I'm not even sure I remember it right, but like all of a sudden there's a bunch of monsters like basically teleported into his world, and let's go around, try to get to the surface, and it was just so much fun. It is a huge hit. Gotta be top 5 computer game all time. Consensus, most people would agree with that. It spawned onto had a sequel,
Half-Life 2.
Yeah, that was great, and long anticipated Half-Life 3 will probably never happen, but they must hate money because it would sell like crazy. It spawned into Counter-Strike, is highly lauded as one of the best online deathmatch games. Anyway, I love Half-Life. I'm one of the most enjoyable games I've ever played. I love playing the whole series, and the ending, you end with a choice of what you're gonna do, and if you choose one thing, you really feel regret. You're like, I must do this again. I do not want this choice. Anyway, definitely recommend it. If you've never played Half-Life, get it. As soon as I was making this list, I'm like, okay, I gotta put the orange box, and I gotta get that. I'll look on eBay. I want to play Half-Life 2 again. Okay, so somebody else's number 3 will be Jordan.
My number 3 is technically another sports game, but not really. I say Punch-Out! I adore this game. It came out in the arcade in 1984. I remember Showbiz Pizza had it, which became Chuck E. Cheese if you're not from this
Chuck
area.
E. Cheese became Showbiz.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I hit my first Chuck E. Cheese in Columbus in 6th grade, and it was huge. It was like the best thing that ever happened to me. But then we, basically, I don't want to, no hyperbole.
It was all downhill from there.
Not hyperbole, but it goes, 3, 2, 1, day got married, birth your kid, day you went to Chuck E. Cheese. Just phenomenal. But yeah, if memory serves me, it was first, and then later we got to show this.
But I remember they had it, and it was the version for Little Mac the Boxer. You were like a green
grid, yep.
And you couldn't see, you kind of saw through him, and you saw your opponent. And I remember not being good at it on the arcade. I was like, this is weird, it's laggy. Like, maybe I'd already played it on the Nintendo. I'm like, oh, I'm good at this game, I can do, and it frustrated me. But on the Nintendo, it came out in 1987, branded Mike Tyson's Punch-Out.
Yep.
Right.
This almost made my list, the Mike Tyson.
It's almost
So,
made mine.
yeah, I played this game like crazy for the Nintendo. My Salb Story sold all the Nintendo games. So when it came out in 94 for the Super Nintendo, if I have to pick a version, whatever, just the whole, I love any Punch-Out, but Super Nintendo would be the one I remember most. And again, it's still hooked up in my old bedroom. And the nephews were watching they were getting on YouTube to look at the record, like the speed record, how fast you beat Glassjaw or whoever.
Yeah.
And they were like trying to beat the record. I'm like, this game is it's so just puzzle. It's almost a puzzle game. It's not, it's like
It's learning a pattern.
pattern recognition. Yeah. So
King
the
Hippo.
theme is so good.
King
and
Hippo.
the characters are so good, and like what. It really almost made my list just because I remember beating Mike Tyson, and that meant so much to me. Him winking and whatever. It was just like, I loved that, and I keep getting on Nick, like, because he collects games. I was like, I don't know how you don't have this game in your collection, and you need to do it, so I play the game.
But yeah, I mean, it's as simple as it can be, dodge, block, punch, but it's so satisfying when you connect.
Oh,
and the guy reels back and like, yeah, take that.
Yeah, then when they the Wii Sports, with the boxing and the Wii Sports.
Yeah.
You could actually, it was not Punch-Out, obviously, but you're playing against someone and you're...
Yeah, I remember playing that.
It's like Joust.
It was like
against
Joust.
somebody.
Yeah.
You both played at the same time. Flap your wings.
Get the angle.
Oh my gosh, that's a great pick. Russ, you're number 3.
Me. So, this game was interesting because earlier I mentioned getting an Xbox modded and going back and playing some games, and Sarah and I played this game.
Now, how do they do that? Does this involve Chinese kids?
No,
this?
actually, this actually does not. No, it just involves
what do you do to get it modded?
A chip being soldered to the board to allow you to play emulated games.
Okay.
So, Bubble Bobble for the original Nintendo.
I do not know this game. I've heard.
Oh,
I don't
my
think
goodness.
I do, but I've heard.
So you're two little dinosaurs at the bottom of the screen, and you blow bubbles. And so there's critters all over the screen. You have to get to them, blow a bubble, and it puts them in a bubble.
Right.
And then you have to jump up and hit them to pop them. And then they would turn into like a piece of candy or fruit or something and end up on the other part of the screen. You get the fruit so that you get points or whatever. So after you...
I like Pokemon.
So after you... well, it was... Yes, but no.
You put a critter in a bubble. What more do you want?
So you have a screen, and after you've killed, you have a time limit. And after you've killed all 4 or 5 critters on the screen, you get put in a bubble, and you scroll down to the next screen, and it just keeps going until you get to like a level 100. And Sarah and I played that, and you can't save your game. So we played that
those days
until. We used to get so frustrated, get the board 98 and have to start over.
leaving your systems on and stuff, getting overheated just so you didn't have to.
I'll never forget the neighbor kid came over when we had our Super Nintendo and we had a projection TV. And he came over and we were outside and he paused the game and came outside to play, and everybody didn't think anything of it and come back in, and Dad's turning the channels and there's a big Nintendo symbol on the screen.
Burned it right in.
What the... What is that? Yeah, burned the Nintendo symbol into the...
Wow.
It's awesome.
I bet that did not go over well. Okay. We are down to our top 2 picks here. And I am first. Let's see.
2.
Super popular game. I remember when this game came out several years ago, I took the week off in November. That was when a lot of big games were known for coming out, but took the week off, and I didn't do this all in 1 week, but I basically played it every waking hour that week I was off. Ended up putting 300 hours on this game. It was the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. I just loved that game. Just the open world, going around, and somebody needed potatoes, and I went and got them for them. It was like this
Chinese potato farm.
I was making a lot of money. It was just like riding around on my horse, going and doing all these fantasy adventures. It had, you could do different characters, but I made one character, but it had a way you could still follow basically every storyline with that. You may have a thief, but you can do the magic stuff and you can do everything. You just don't have all the abilities, but it was just great. I don't have to sell this to anybody. It is one of the most popular games ever, and just at E3 last week, they threw a little 30-second just title card that they're making Elder Scrolls 6 finally. But I hope it's something like this. It was phenomenal.
Elder Scrolls, is that the one that has Drizzt?
No,
I can't remember which one Drizzt is in.
I thought that was
R.A.
Blizzard.
Salvatore. No, R.A. Salvatore. He was in, Neverwinter Nights.
Neverwinter. Okay, yes. Now this is.
So was this game a big departure from the previous one?
The previous one was Oblivion, and no, it's not a big departure. It was better graphics and just. I mean, a lot of.
It was just something I was never familiar with until Skyrim, and then it became.
Me neither. But it's set in Tamriel, and there's different parts of the world, and there's Hammerfell, Morrowind, and Oblivion, and. Skyrim, and this just is the one that hit the hardest with everybody. It just was so pretty, and I played it on PS3, but a lot of people like the computer mods because you could make it look so much better and do things that people ran wild with it. Did you play it?
No, I did. You know what? I think I played it a little bit, but it was during my Warcraft time, so I mean,
it was just
when you invest
have your
time,
fantasy game.
Yeah, when you invest time in it, into a game, it's you try to play another game, and it's like, crap, you know what? I kind of miss this.
Yeah.
So
this, it just you had followers, NPCs that you could go pick up, and there were so many of them, and so many, again, like Mass Effect and these other games, like. A lot of relationships you're having with all these different characters, and they were just they all had different, they all looked different. They were all specific. It wasn't muddled. It had, I don't know. I'm not going to go on and on about it. It's a fantastic game, and
you're starting to sound like Cliff.
Yeah, it's just like you play with somebody else. No, what I liked about it is you couldn't play with somebody else.
Yeah,
that's what I don't like about every Elder Scrolls thing they've done since then is online. Warcraft, and I want to sit down and it's me and that game, and I just want to work my way through it and do all the adventures.
Yeah. No, I did try. I mean, the MMORPG that came out for Elder Scrolls, I beta tested that, and it was a decent enough game. So
I think a lot of people were disappointed, like me, with that because when we were like, the next Elder Scrolls, we just love Skyrim. Everybody's like. It is not that.
It was not that.
Yeah, it's not your play it by yourself game. I just need one of those. Let's see. Jordan, your number 2 game of all time.
That's my antisocial game too. This is basically the same as Cliff's number 9, but you don't have to leave the house.
Ooh.
You have the Ninja Turtles arcade game. They brought that straight to the Nintendo Entertainment System in 1990. So the arcade cabinet came out in 89, which was the 4-player one that Cliff was talking about. And then Nintendo, there was a Ninja Turtles game for Nintendo that I think I see lots of references to it of everyone of my generation was so frustrated by.
Yeah, the graphics were not very.
It was not a great
typical
game.
Nintendo graphics. I mean,
it was the kind of game I wanted to love it and did love it because it was Turtles.
It was it was also a side scrolling. Yes. You're going through the sewers and stuff. And it was very.
And it was basically chop with your sword, or jump. And then there was the overhead that you would get out in the turtle van. And it was the overhead map. But if it had been any other property, I would have thrown the game away because it was so frustrating. But it was Turtles, and I love the Turtles so much. I'm like, I'm going to keep playing this game even though it killed me inside. And there's the famous underwater level with the seaweed that shocks you, which they referenced decades later on the Ninja Turtles recent cartoon, they're out in space, like, watch out for the seaweed, dude. So there was a little Easter egg there. But, so that was all we had for years and years, and then Turtles 2 comes out. And it's basically the arcade game in your living room.
I had this also, yeah.
And it is such just a quantum leap in quality that it felt like a 3D. There was depth to it, and you could move forward. And, like it was still a side scroller, but you could move forward and backwards,
just
and
like Double Dragon.
Yeah. So it just threw it.
not absolutely not like Joust.
Threw in all your favorite villains, Shredder, April, like, you know, just had everything you want and for Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, they would do cutscenes with April coming in.
Yeah. Yeah, and even those look good. Like, the quality, just, I don't know how, in such a short period of time.
So this is my favorite thing, though. I mean, it was grabbing the dude and spinning and throwing him at the screen.
Yes.
You know, and their face would, you know, like it was hitting your TV screen.
Yeah, so, instead of just chopping, there were you could kick and die, you know, you slide forward and take their legs out and pick them up and throw them, and So, and then that was followed by Turtles in Time, which I played over and over and over again. Loved it too, but I had to go Turtles 2 as my all-time pick.
Okay, your number 2, Russ. This is, surprisingly, no one else had this.
I'm surprised that no one else had this. I mean, Nintendo's signature game. I mean, that started it all.
This is the one that, first game we put in when we
Saving the Princess. Your princess is in another castle. Yeah. Mario Brothers 1.
Yeah.
I mean, that was just
hours
classic.
hours playing this game.
Jumping up and hitting the coin box and having the mushroom come out and, looking stuff up and, again, Nintendo power to find out where the one-up, the hidden one-up.
Yeah. Can you bounce that turtle gets his steps enough times?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
What a fantastic game. I mean, they took it leagues ahead of where we were.
So, story. Merida College is exploring esports.
I thought you were going to tell the Mario story. Started out as a plumber.
we won't talk about the movie, but so Merida College is exploring esports and talking with some people. I didn't realize that one of the big things with the kids are doing now are the speed games.
I knew that's what you were going to say, speed runs.
And so the Mario Brothers game has not been, the record has been set for like 10 years or something like that. Mm-hmm. And it was just beat not too long ago because someone found some way that they could jump a certain way on the stairs to the flagpole.
Oh.
And it shaved off like 0.2 of a second or something. I mean, it's crazy. So they set the record, and that has stood for like 10 years. But
how long is it? Do you have any idea what the record is?
It's like, I don't know if it's like 6 or 7 minutes or something like that. Yeah. But I mean, I'd seen videos of like the Super Mario 2 speed runs where you get the tornado, you use a whistle and get the tornado, and it takes you.
That's 3. Isn't it?
Was that 3? Yeah, that is 3. That is 3.
I used to be in 24.
2 is the weird one that's nothing like any of the other games.
Yeah, that was the one I didn't like.
But I like.
I was it frustrated me because like this is completely different. I don't like it.
Yeah.
So even back then, I was like,
yeah, you get the raccoon suit, and you can fly across the screen.
I don't want to pick up roots out of the ground. What are you telling me?
Turnips. Toad. But that game, I mean, Super Mario Brothers, or Mario 1. Mario was for the Super Nintendo, but Mario 1 was just the water scene. The water world and everything. Just
I wrote it down as an honorable mention, just because I mean, it's the Nintendo game.
Yeah.
Could have or should have been on all our lists, but like a lot of these top 10, we kind of.
Yeah.
Man, I can somebody else will have that. So,
right.
Yeah.
I mean, we give it props, but it's almost like you've had too much of a good thing there. It's like you may have spent all this time playing it, but so did everybody else.
Yeah, everybody's done it.
Yeah.
The good thing about them is all of the Mario games that they've released have been, really good games. I don't know that
was the thing. Every time it was like there was no way that a Mario game was going to come out that I was not going to play that.
Right.
1, 2, 3, 64. Yeah.
Well,
Super Mario World.
Yeah, the 64. You could climb the tree and flip off the tree. I'm just like, what?
That's how you sounded like.
Yeah, exactly.
I actually have Mario Brothers, the Atari 2600 game. Not Super Mario, but Mario Brothers. Yeah. And I broke it out for some of the kids, and they were like, "Oh, Super Mario!" And I put it in. They're like, "What is this?"
Is it like Mario and Luigi like throwing hammers at the turtles and stuff or something?
No, it's not even that. It's like you have your different levels, and the turtles come out, and you have to bounce underneath of them. Oh. They turn upside down. You run up and like
you have to
knock them, and then that's pretty much the game.
And there's a battle. Isn't there a battle in that as well? Where Luigi and Mario can fight each other or something. I don't know if that was I don't know if that was for the Atari, but at least the Nintendo version.
So, anyways,
yeah, that's pretty cool.
But the
original Smash Brothers.
We got our Nintendo. We were not early adopters, let's say. So I still remember so clearly. They bought us the Nintendo without us knowing, and gave it to Justin, my older brother, to hook up down in the basement.
Right.
And so Jared and I knew nothing about it. And Justin had disappeared for 4 hours. Like, where's Justin? So he went down. I'm sure it took him 5 minutes to set it up. And then he's like, I'm not telling them anything. So he was down there playing. And I walked downstairs like, what are you? And there was Mario on my TV. And I remember that moment of just a Nintendo. Like, the future is here. And I remember that so clearly from my childhood.
I remember
hating my brother too.
I remember being jealous of the people that, had the Nintendo with the little robot. There was a version of the Nintendo that you could get that came with a little robot guy.
Okay, you've officially filled Michael's seat.
Spun a gyro or something.
I don't
Nintendo
robot. It was just a little guy.
Huh. I have no memory of anything like that.
Just say robot one time and
you got it.
That sounds like a Japanese only version where it just comes with it. You're in robot.
Oh no, I got to look it up. Because,
Right. Alright, Cliff, you're number 2.
This is funny. This goes back to your Secret or Shadows of the Empire, and you had X-Wing Rogue Squadron. Yeah. My number 2 is actually Star Wars X-Wing. This was a PC game, very early 90s, and this was kind of... I remember the Star Wars, the big arcade where you sat down in it and flew the missions and all that.
Yeah.
This was really my first Star Wars game.
We're looking at that robot.
Rob the robot.
I have no.
Yes,
I don't have any memory of that. What do they want? $10,000 for it?
No. Now it's like $400 on eBay.
Yeah. Rob the robot. But Star Wars X-Wing. This game was my first experience into really modern games with real people doing cutscenes. It was like Star Wars had been gone for what seemed like forever in my life as far as the movies went. And I found this game which put me right back into the movies. There were real people, not graphics, cutscene of scenes from a movie of real rebel pilots, and you got in and you flew the missions in the X-Wing, and the spawned, X-Wing versus TIE Fighter and all these other Star Wars PC games. But this was the first one, LucasArts, that I played until I beat it. It was my game that I sat and I was like, I have to beat this game and I gotta play, and this is the coolest thing ever at the time. Cooler than Joust.
Whoa.
But yeah, for me it was just, it just opened up it was just something I hadn't seen, and I thought it was like Wing Commander. If you remember, Wing Commander had Mark Hamill, but it had cutscenes of real people. They were real actors.
That.
Yeah, it was right along that line. So
awesome. I love Star Wars. Most of the Star Wars games are good.
Yeah.
The ones I've played.
1.
Alright. We're up to our number ones. This is a big deal. It's a big deal, guys.
And the floor is wide open. It could be anything.
Well, I pretty much guessed what... I kind of knew what your number one was going to be. And we're starting with you.
Oh.
So...
Okay, no, but this wasn't on your list, or did you bump it from your list to...
It was at number 10, coming into today.
Yeah.
But I really wanted to talk about Shadows of the Empire.
This is a game we've brought up multiple times. There's a sequel on the way. Red Dead Redemption. PlayStation 3. This is the Western game, open world. You're John Marsden. In the time period, the Old West is kind of dying, and modernization is coming, and some people have little cars and things, so it's kind of the dying days of the legends of the Old West. And just simply, I love Westerns, so that was a step in the right direction, but that's probably not the only reason I loved it. I said, I'm not a huge gamer, and this is literally the only game I played that I never got bored with. It's like, I would rarely beat a game, because after I played it long enough, I just was done with it. Or I'd get frustrated and couldn't beat a section. This game, I played and played and played and played. And there are and the side quests and the game, like you could just go in and play poker. And there'd be nights I'd turn the game on and just go play blackjack and poker and just walk around the casino all night. Or there'd be treasure hunt, or I'd go look for a rock shaped like a certain thing, and or you do hunting missions. You put on your hunting clothes and go out into the mountains. I gotta find 3 bears to get, this certain achievement unlocked. And I said, most games, I would do a couple of those and then just be done with it. But this one, I don't know, something about the lush environment and how good the graphics were and the sound was and the music was and the voice acting was. Just, I don't know, to me, just the best gaming experience I've had in my life.
Yeah, it's fantastic, and the story's so good. If you played it, it's known for the ending is really, kind of, there's some twists and turns there you're not expecting. Up there, one of the best gaming moments I remember is playing in that game, and it's been out for a long time. It's not
2010.
Not a big spoiler here, so don't worry about it. But you spend most of the game trying to find old members of your gang for the government, and when you finally have accomplished what you're supposed to accomplish, it's been held over your head all this time. You just want to get back to your family, and when you finally are released by these guys about 3/4 of the way in the game, what changes from the usual sound effects and things, all of a sudden it's like, first I gotta say, you can fast travel all the time. You can make a campsite, you can go somewhere, you can take the stagecoach and just skip to your destination, and at some point you just start doing that. But most times when you sit down, the first time you go somewhere, you're gonna ride it out. You're gonna get on your horse and you're gonna ride, because it just has that Western flavor, and you just love it. If you love that game, it's fun to just ride all the way across the country.
One time I just got on the top of the train and just rode.
Yep.
And just stood there and watched the sunset. Just looking at the scenery.
Awesome. But in this moment, when you're finally told you can go home, it plays this song called Compass, and it just knocked my socks off. I don't know that I love the song, but the moment just was like, wow, I am just gonna ride to this song. And it was just almost emotional. You've been waiting this whole game. You've been playing this game for months. I played it for months before I got to that point, because I wouldn't play it every moment. And it's so finally I'm getting to do that. I'm riding there. I'm not skipping it. I'm listening to this song that they haven't been playing songs in the game.
Well, they do, if you're approaching an enemy and things are getting tense, the music would pump up and speed up. The music was so good throughout, but then, that moment.
Yeah, this guy's singing a song. I'm sure it was this guy's only hit or whatever, but man, it's just a really great moment in any video game. But and like I said, it's well known for the ending, and we can't wait for the sequel.
Well, similar to that, there was a great moment for me playing early on when you learn how to use your weapons, and any game you can equip oh, I've got my knife, I've got my lasso, I've got my gun, I've got just fists. And so I was trying to lasso a horse was the mission. So I walked up to the horse, I thought I had my rope equipped, and hit the action button, and I had my fists equipped, and I punched the horse in the face, like Blazing Saddles.
Yep.
And the horse reared back, and I was like, that was the greatest thing I've ever done in a video.
Great game. Definitely. Probably should have been on.
And I bought the Game of the Year Special Edition or whatever that included the zombie...
Undead Nightmare.
Undead Nightmare. And that's just as fun doing the whole game, but all the bad guys are zombies and you have to run around the same towns and kill zombies too.
All right. Russ, your number 1 was Jordan's number 5.
All right. So, much like GoldenEye, one of the best ever multiplayer versus or however you want to look at it.
We just call them jousts.
We call them jousts. One of the best ever jousting games.
The only note I took for this was best party game of all time? ?
Oh yeah, I mean Mario Kart, 4-player split screen. Being in last place and getting that shell to take out the first oh my goodness, it was the source of so many. I mean, I remember the argument was, what are we going to play, GoldenEye or Mario Kart? Like, that was always the tough decision, and we played both of them to death. But I mean, Mario Kart was just, I mean, every version of it, from regular Mario Kart to Super Mario Kart to Mario Kart 64.
Yeah, it's almost like why pin it down, because it's always been great every time.
Yep, and then you do the versus battle where each of you has 3 balloons in the arena, and you're shooting shells at each other, trying to knock the balloons off of each other. Oh, so many memories, and so it's such a great game. Rainbow Bridge, the Ghost Bridge, just so many.
We played a lot of Mario Kart 64 back in the day.
Yeah.
And just seems one of those games that crosses all, age, gender, like everyone plays and loves Mario Kart. There's no, it's one of the most diverse games, I'm sure, for the fandom of it.
Oh. Yep. Yeah, it's a huge hit. Everybody loves it. Yeah, nobody's gonna say, no, I don't want to play Mario Kart.
We're like, give me a controller.
Yes, exactly.
Don't steal my question blocks.
Cliff, your number 1 game.
I bet you thought it was going to be something Atari, but it's not. Super Mario Brothers 3.
Yeah. This also almost made my list.
Yeah, this was
just because you like the raccoon suit.
I do like the raccoon suit. No, I really like Super Mario Brothers. I hated Super Mario Brothers 2. And then this thing came along, and I thought it had the most amazing graphics, and there were all these cool new things you could do with Mario, and you could fly and do all these. It was just a fun game, and we played for hours and hours, and my cousin used to come over, and we'd sit up in my little bedroom and play Super Mario Brothers 3 until we beat the thing. No matter how many times we beat that game, you could still go back and play it over and over and over and over again.
Now, was that the one at the end when you're fighting Bowser, you had to jump on the thing and throw it up in the air? He was in the...
I can't remember.
He was in the ship and you had to throw this
It sounds familiar.
Yeah. We had one guy comment, it's a friend of mine, he's like, what's your favorite game, Super Mario? Play or watch? Because he sat there when I had Super Mario Bros. 3 and he never played a lick of it. But he...
By his choice or your choice?
His choice. He was just isn't a video game player. But he loved to watch, and he just sat there and watched me play hours and hours of that game, and he wanted, to see if I could beat it faster and faster. And it was like, I know I could beat it in like 22 minutes or something. You just like you were saying earlier, you just go to like World 2 and whistle and go to World 4, whistle and go to World 8, or 2, 5, 8 maybe, I don't know, but it's like you're going under the pirate ships, that level and everything, just to get to the end as fast as you can. And of course, playing every level in the game sometimes, just to see everything. It was a super fun game. I love the original Super Mario Brothers. I'm one of the few people that actually loves Super Mario Brothers 2, and like I can hear that theme that had great theme music, and I enjoyed that. But 3 is the pinnacle of Mario for me.
Yeah.
I just think that's great.
Yeah, I think 1, it was the groundbreaking historical moment, but 3, I think, perfected the formula.
Yeah.
And I honestly don't think I've ever played Mario 64, Mario World. So to me, my Mario experience ends at Mario 3, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, mine
I'm
pretty
good
much
with
did
that.
too.
Yeah.
There was other good things after that, but that's as good as any.
Yeah, it was good. I did like Super Mario World though, where he had the cape and you could,
Yeah.
Now, because I think that that was the one I think that came out with Yoshi, so you could get on Yoshi.
Mm-hmm.
That was.
Yeah, I think that was the first one.
And that Yoshi was just a whole other level of aggravation because you'd get hit and he'd go take off running across the street and you're trying to get back on him.
And by that time you get over there, he hit the...
exactly.
All right. My number
And
1...
again,
I
we
know.
roll Seth's dice, and he gets the final
It's
word.
funny that
I
worked.
did. I rolled, I guess. Never mind.
You should have let me throw the fangs.
Yeah. Okay, my number 1, 1998. I had just got a PS1. I was like, first game I got for it, I'm pretty sure, was Metal Gear Solid.
Metal Gear.
Now, there was a Metal Gear game on Nintendo, and it was a above looking down little blip guy walking around going and getting stuff, but this was an actual game. This game was groundbreaking. Like, we'd never seen anything like it. It's known for having huge long cutscenes, but they were so cinematic, and you're basically an undercover operative doing special agent stuff, and there's all kinds of ridiculous characters with powers and things, but it's a hugely complicated, complex story, but so dramatic and well done. Like, I just remember being in awe of that game. The things they would say, the fact that they were doing all these missions and then out loud questioning, like, is this even the right thing to do? Should just like taking it to such another level. It was just amazing. I remember like, watching, facing off, there was a sniper thing. It's a character Sniper Wolf that you're sniping at each other, and the scenes afterwards, the story, what was happening. I just remember that and being so upset. Nobody was sitting there with me. Like, I wanted to share that with somebody so bad. It was, if we're just gonna jousted this game up, I loved it.
Not every game could be a joust.
That's true. We thought that before this list started, but it went on, and there's been 5 or 6 games since then that they're all pretty good. I like 2, Sons of Liberty. 3 is Snake Eater is probably, because the graphics are so advanced and they just even build it up even more. It might be a better game. But I just have such nostalgia for this and being so surprised by how cinematic it was. I mean, for the last decade, my ringtone is the sound of the codec. I just love that game. So,
we did it.
We did it.
We had some people on Facebook, if anyone wants to pull that up and see.
Yeah. So, we threw it out to our Facebook followers and let them know the list we were doing and said, hey, what are your favorites? So we had several responses, so I want to thank those people by giving them a quick shout out.
So let's look here. I know we had Jason Teasley jumped in with his top 10, and
I was surprised everyone did top 10 lit. Like, I expected 1 or 2 comments, but most commenters had multiple.
He said, wow, that we were doing this at all, I think.
Because it's a little bit out of character.
Yeah, and I think it's a little overwhelming. Okay, all of a sudden I gotta come up with a top 10 list.
Think how I felt.
Yeah. Exactly.
Put it together in a day.
Well, maybe you shouldn't have said, hey, let's do this.
Is Sudoku a game?
So, I'm not sure the order of everyone's, whether they're counting up or down, but they love these 10 games. comes up with Final Fantasy 7, Final Fantasy 8.
Final Fantasy 7 was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it's well, I never have played Final Fantasy, any of them, but it's well known there are certain ones that people love. 7, you always hear.
7, yeah.
I don't know what the other ones are that are so great, but I just never invested myself in that. I know it was a lot of people love that series.
But the funny thing about Final Fantasy is they have chocobos, right? Which is very similar to those flying ostrich.
That's true. I've always thought that. He's got Fallout 4. Fallout series is highly loved. I love this pick. A couple of these picks on here. He's got Contra.
I was going to say, that's what I put that in one of my honorable mentions. I'm surprised that Contra, Ninja Gaiden, Gauntlet. Yeah. Blue Warrior needs food badly. Those that.
I just remember going over to this friend's house. He had Contra, and we sat there and did the up, down, down, left, right, A, B. Oh man, and getting our 30 lives each and blasting all the way through Contra. It was just so much fun. Yeah, I just loved it. He's got another great pick that really was in the running to be on my list. Resident Evil 4 came out on the GameCube, and it was another groundbreaking game. The way it kind of had an over the shoulder look, aiming system. So it's kind of awkward now, but at the time it was a good way to do it. And the story was really good. I had never gotten really into Resident Evil, but there's a scene that, again, some of the memories I have are things that scared the crap out of me. And I remember there's a scene in a basement and some guy's chasing you, and I was scared. Playing this game. And I think it affected a lot of people, have memories of that. It's a really good game. Madden, he said.
Madden.
So, yeah. Of course, that's one of the most popular series. Halo.
Halo was huge.
Yeah, I've played some Halo, even though not being an Xbox guy, but I think most people have touched that game at some point. So
when I got in the military, one of the first person shooters that I was playing was called Tribes.
Yeah.
On the computer. And it was, you had a huge map and you had a team and you had another team and you could partially fly and then come down gently. You had plasma guns and everything else. You were shooting the other team trying to capture the flag. But it was it was huge. It was very huge, and it led the way. It paved the road for all of these first-person shooters.
His next couple were in my top 10. He's got Last of Us and Skyrim, and he's got Tony Hawk Pro Skater. The first one. I didn't play much of that. The skate game I remember because it was at the time I was skateboarding. We were going to arcades, and I think it was maybe Zanesville Mall had 720. I don't know if anybody remembers that, but it was just it was like one of the first skateboarding games, and there was a good one on NES that came out that was good. Yeah, Derek Crossan had, if you look at any top video games list, this is usually in the top 10. Tetris.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a simple game that is so fun and addictive. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I had that on the honorable mention. There's nights you'd play Tetris so long you close your eyes to go to sleep and you'd still see the ball.
It's the only game I have on my phone is Tetris. Duck Hunt. The laughing dog and all that. Yeah. Great. I remember blasting. It was so neat to be able to shoot the TV.
The dog.
Yeah. Jet Set Radio Future. I've never heard of this.
No.
Nope. One of those that he found, some gem he found, none of us knew about.
It rings a bell from back in the day. It was one of those, I'm
sure,
a 90s game. But.
Yeah, I just don't remember that. Halo, Tony Hawk Pro Skater, also, Golden Axe.
I remember Golden Axe.
Golden Axe, yep.
Deus Ex Human Revolution. I don't know that one. Mega Man Zero. I never played Mega Man, any of them.
Mega Man's on my honorable mention list.
Yeah.
The old school Mega Man. I mean, they made like 10 of them or 11 or something like that. Wow. Something crazy.
Shadow Warrior. It's the remakes. This I love the sound of this. He says the remake starts with a gangster singing "You Got the Touch" to pump himself up. Like, thank you for that detail.
That's funny.
Well, Derek creates his own video games. He's like learning how to program and stuff. Yeah. So he's put out a few things on, is it Steam or wherever you can release those. So he's, I'm sure, a gaming expert.
These might be his games. He might be like,
these are my favorite that I've created.
My favorite one is Planescape Torment. Never heard of it, but it sounds like he made it, and it's his number one.
Made that last Tuesday.
I'm gonna look some of these up later. I'm curious what they are.
Again, we're casual gamers,
right? Yeah, that's all right.
Apologize for that.
Yeah. Jared Lowe, California Games. I did look that up.
Yeah.
Because it sounded so familiar to something I had. It was surfing, I'm sure. And I was like, I played a surfing game. And I looked up and found the one I had was TNC Surf Designs. And
it was basically just a bunch of mini games. And you could just pick. You could surf or skateboard, play hacky sack, frisbee. Mm-hmm. So it was just a bunch, whatever you did.
It was like track and field.
Yeah. I love track and field.
Yeah. That was, but with California Games, wasn't the logo like the red Corvette with the...
Could be. I don't remember well enough.
I remember Cruisin' had a
Cruisin', that's the one I'm thinking of.
Mm-hmm. DuckTales, the game.
I hear about this game all the time to the day.
I knew you must not have played it or been on your list.
Yeah, I don't remember it, but
it
was very popular apparently.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, Super Punch Out. Donkey Kong Countries, another good one, riding in those carts. That was a great two-player game.
That one I saw on a bunch of lists, and that one, again, just frustrated me because I wasn't used to it. Was almost like an open world game where you could just go this direction, or the maps were just like overwhelming. I was like, I don't know where I am. I'm in the jungle somewhere. Help me.
Mario Kart, Ken Griffey Jr. Baseball, Mario 3, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So he's right on.
See, the strange thing is we owned all the same video games.
Same game. So funny.
We're drawing from the same pool.
Funny that he would pick that. Then we got Jesse Starcher. He's Super Metroid.
The only one more excited about this list.
Metroid is...
Now, I played Metroid, and I loved that. Yeah. Super Metroid, I had not played, but I looked this up, and I am so upset that 12-year-old me did not get to play Super Metroid because it looks really good.
Yeah, it was.
It looks better than Metroid, and it's just so... it's such a spacey alien game. The sounds, the graphics, I mean, it looked good, what I saw of it.
Yeah,
so.
My buddy, when we were in high school, he used to get tired of beating my butt in Tecmo Bowl, so I would watch him basically play Metroid and like Castlevania 3 and stuff like that, because I wasn't great at games, but he was pretty good.
Right.
He used to, back in the day, used to go to the tournaments and, you know.
Oh, wow.
And here's a game that you hear a lot of talk of, greatest game all the time, RPG anyway, Chrono Trigger.
Yeah, Chrono Trigger.
I never played it. I never even heard of it until a few years ago when I saw it on all these lists. Final Fantasy VIII, 6 in Japan. Keep us straight. Fallout 3, this huge hit.
Yeah.
Huge hit. Took over people's lives.
Yeah. Fallout's a big series.
One of the big open world games that came out. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Arcade, Vice City, love soundtrack. Guitar Hero, we never mentioned it.
I bet Jesse's Girl was on the soundtrack.
Oh, Jesse's Girl's probably on there, yeah. That's why he likes it. He just kept driving that one Lincoln or something. Guitar Hero 3 is the one he likes. Like, I'm sure we've all at some point played a little of that. Mario Kart 64. I knew there'd be a wrestling game. WWF No Mercy. I never played this. The only wrestling game I think I ever played was the Nintendo's Pro Wrestling.
Yes, Pro Wrestling.
And that was so much fun.
I remember the guy that had the pink mask on with like the star.
You got a blue star on it. Yeah. Then there was like an iguana looking guy. And, some blonde guy. I don't know. I just remember
Pretend this guy's Ricky Steamboat.
Exactly. So much fun. And then he's got NBA Jam. Boom Shakalaka.
Boom Shakalaka, yep.
Such a fun game.
Hey, thanks everybody for commenting. We love the feedback.
One more.
Oh, you had another comment.
One more. I got a text from a guy I work with who's never contributed before, Jeremy Godfrey. He sent me, because he was telling me about how big a gamer he was the other day. I said, well, send me a list. So he sent me a list this afternoon.
Is Frogger on that list?
No.
No one said Frogger.
Assassin's Creed, the series in general, Elder Scrolls, Skyrim, Call of Duty, the entire series, Altered Beast we talked about briefly, Night Trap for Sega CD. Don't know.
I've seen the box. Yeah.
Okay. Sewer Shark for Sega CD.
Man.
Far Cry 3, Red Dead.
Far
Cry is good too.
Yeah. Destiny series, Zelda, and then he had Mario 3 too. So.
Yeah. List. Awesome. I've got Nick's list here, my son. I asked him to please do one, and he was... he plays like everything. He's totally up to date on every system, and yet he was super nostalgic. His 10 was Minecraft. These are a lot of games he played as a kid that he just put so many hours into. Minecraft, he did a Fallout New Vegas on PS3. Lego Star Wars, he's like...
that was a good game.
He's like, you and I got 100% on that. And I was like, it is a great memory for me too. I loved playing that with him. Persona 3 is a, Japanese game on PS2. Pokemon Diamond, he played them all back in the day, hundreds of times, but that's his favorite of the series. Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, the Super Nintendo one, was a big hit. And Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater. His number 3 was Warcraft 3, Reign of Chaos.
Yeah.
Love this series. I mean, he still loves it. Number 2 was Super Smash Brothers Melee. Like, I don't know how many times I've walked in that kid's room when he's got somebody over here, and I would bet my life that they're playing Smash
Brothers. Yep.
It's
big.
I don't get it, but everybody loves it.
It's big. They're coming out with a new one.
And his number 1, just another one he used to play all the time, Star Wars Battlefront 2 on
that was big.
2.
Yeah. Honorable mentions. Anybody have anything we haven't mentioned?
How long have we been talking?
A long time. We'll probably split it into two.
I'm shocked. The words Pac-Man have never come up.
No.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I didn't write Pac-Man down, but I wrote Ms. Pac-Man.
Ms. Pac-Man gets more cred usually.
Yeah.
So just as hard as they have trailblazing games, we can't not.
So back in the arcade, one of the most aggravating games, Dragon's Lair.
I had Dragon's Lair written down too.
Yeah.
Impossible to play, but man.
We've got a video on our Ka-Pow page where I sit there and play the crap out of it if you want to watch.
It's funny.
I went in an arcade at the beach a couple years ago and they had one that's got an awesome arcade that all these machines worked, and I used to love to play the heck out of that game.
Donkey Kong. I wrote down Defender. If anybody remembers Defender, I love it.
Was it Stargate? Was that the other one that was very similar?
Yes.
The same type of thing. And also the one before TI-99. We think it had Parsec, which was very similar. That just flying through space, left to right,
infinite. Berserk was a. You remember?
I hated that game.
Oh, so aggravating, but. Oh, just
just shooting everywhere.
And that thing, that thing when you got hit, you would just tense up. I remember the sound. We have to mention Batman: Arkham Asylum.
Not a fan.
Not a fan.
Very popular
game. My son always loved those games. And just for Michael, we have to mention Tron.
Yeah.
Tron arcade game that Michael has sworn he will one day own. He's going to steal it from the laundromat.
I mean, everybody's probably got a stand-up game. If they could have one, they've got something they like.
So we can mention a National Lampoon. Do you have asteroids? No, but my dad does.
What do you got?
Can't even sit on the toilet some
honorable
days.
Mentions, Russ?
A lot of them we actually talked about already, like Punch-Out, Diablo, StarCraft, Street Fighter.
Oh, yeah. I was never. I was Mortal Kombat, not Street Fighter, but it was very popular.
Ninja Gaiden.
Mm-hmm.
That was a pretty good game. They had quite a few of those. I think Gauntlet. That's pretty much those.
I got a whole bunch. But I'm just going to read them off here. Some that were real close to making the list. Gran Turismo 3. I love the Gran Turismo series. 3 is the best. It's so much fun. That was my favorite driving game, and we just loved it. On the computer, Duke Nukem 3D. Suck it down, and all the things you would say, throwing money at the strippers, and and my computer wasn't fast enough, so I'd have to minimize the screen. I played Duke Nukem 3D on like a 3-inch screen, but I played the crap out of it. Definitely this one game was at number 8 on my list, but I had to knock it off to get other stuff on. But Doom. I had a lot of Doom.
Big, yep.
Yeah, just Doom 2.
It was between one. Doom and Wolfenstein.
Yeah,
for me.
that's why I had to keep which one I really loved more, so I just kept Wolfenstein. Uncharted 2 is one of the most beautiful games and so intuitive. Climbing and running through rooftops and stuff.
My son loved that game.
Love it. As far as another couple stand-up games, I like Arkanoid, which is, if you remember Breakout, where there's just a ball bouncing up to break blocks. Arkanoid, you're like shooting and doing stuff, get multiple balls going, doing all these different levels. I always love that machine. Like I said, Mortal Kombat 2, me and my friends played the heck out of. There's story games, or like walking simulators, they call a lot of them nowadays. Just like I said, I love these story games. Those Telltale games are pretty good. Like there was Gone, What Remains of Edith Finch, Heavy Rain, Firewatch, Life is Strange.
Walking Dead put out that one.
Yeah.
Return to Monkey Island.
Yeah. PC game I have to mention because I loved it. Leisure Suit Larry. Loved it. I still use, if you know the password that he has to say at the door, that's my password on some things. A form of that. So, I just remember playing. You had to go buy peppermint condoms.
Yeah.
Or you'd get a venereal disease and die from it. It's so good. It's just like little terrible graphics. So funny.
Not a game Jordan had at the Lowe household.
King's Quest series.
Yeah.
The Flight Simulator. Just playing Flight Simulator. Was fun. We said Pong and Zork. Dragon Age series is good.
Dragon Age.
I play a role-playing game of that. Love it so much. Let's see. Excite Bike. I gotta mention Excite Bike.
Yeah.
So good. Like you said, track and field. We played the heck out of. Kid Icarus is terrible, but I played that game so much and loved it. The Ridge Racer. I was talking about playing Call of Duty, but back at that time when it first came out, around the same time was the Medal of Honor series. Medal of Honor Frontline was like playing the beginning of Saving Private Ryan. It was a huge hit, and that beginning was so awesome. Hard Driving, like a 3D video game, driving game that was like a very simulation. You couldn't get anything done. It was terrible for trying to accomplish anything, but it was like realistic feeling.
Yeah.
Driving these Ferraris.
I remember doing Need for Speed with a force feedback wheel.
Yeah.
I remember Need for Speed.
Yeah.
And then, you said Dragon Slayer and Space Ace.
Yeah.
Love both of those.
Yep.
games.
I thought of more games than I had on my list just sitting here tonight. Yeah. So
that's what I was doing, was adding
I just kept thinking of more and more games. None of them would have been in my top 10, so these are good for the honorable mentions. There was some game on the Commodore 64 where you had to pop balloons. And I'm reaching back like
game.
That's probably the first video game, quote unquote, I ever played. Because I don't know why we had a Commodore 64. I was like, I thought that was for like business and work. I was like, there's games on there?
Oh yeah.
So I don't even remember the logistics of it, but the balloons would fall from the ceiling. You had to try and pop them.
Oh yeah.
And I remember just playing that for a long time. And the two other Atari games that were most memorable to me, one was Jungle Hunt, which was basically Pitfall, like the poor man's Pitfall. You had swung on vines and then jump over boulders and stuff. And the other one, I'm blanking on the name, but were the two tanks
Combat.
Combat.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Combat.
Remember the first 3 games we had on Atari were Space Invaders, Missile Command. Y'all remember Missile Command?
Yeah.
And Double Dribble.
Double Dribble.
I had Double Dribble and NBA Jam on the list. Lemmings.
Lemmings.
Yeah.
Kind of
Lemons.
Lemons.
If life gives you lemmings. That was one that I just played on the computer. I never had it on a console or anything. Right. And it just, puzzle solving, just so fun to do. Afterburner I mentioned, climbing in the thing and rocking back and forth was so fun. Nobody said Myst.
Oh yeah.
Did anyone really get into that?
Oh yeah, I played the heck out of Myst.
I played a tiny bit, but I figured
there's a newer game, Witness, that's very Myst-like, but it's just puzzly and.
Star Fox.
Yeah.
F-Zero.
SNES.
Yep.
Good
Star Fox kind of led the way for those.
I'm surprised that wasn't on somebody's top 10 because I never got into it. I just missed it somehow. But people that love it. That's Star Fox 64.
When Jordan was talking about one of the flight games, I was thinking, I'm like, Star Fox kind of led the way to that 3D flying type of thing.
Yeah.
Mario Paint. Did anyone?
Yeah, geez, that was a while ago.
That was the first time I ever held a mouse in my hands.
Yep.
And a lot of, it had a hard plastic mouse pad that came with it. And you could make music and do
have a robot with it?
I may have. That's and erase my memory somehow. We brought up very quickly both Wii Sports and Guitar Hero, but I just want to reiterate those of as far as casual gaming and getting your whole family involved. Those were games the whole family could pick up, and your whole living room would turn into a gaming night, and bowling or doing the baseball and swinging the Wii around.
My family was more about trying to figure out how to make these games less active. So my brother, I remember doing the boxing, and my brother would lay on the couch and he'd go like this.
Yeah.
He would just move his hands back and forth for the boxing. He'd lay there. Everyone else is you get people to come over and they're all doing,
sweating.
Sweating, and you're sitting on the couch just moving your hands back and forth in a punching. I mean, it's just.
Yeah. I don't want to mix my exercise with my video game.
Yeah, no.
But just very groundbreaking, and for when they came out, they took over, and everyone it was everywhere.
It was a phenomenon there for a while.
Simpsons has had a ton of games. Everyone loves the arcade game. I have fond memories of Simpsons Road Rage.
Yeah.
It was, you just had to do missions around Springfield, and I just remember us playing that over and over and just flying past Moe's and into the Quickie Mart, and just a crazy, basically Grand Theft Auto, but you're running around Springfield. I love that game.
About the original Wii Sports DDR. The Dance Dance Revolution.
Yeah, I never got into that one.
The dance pads, you had to buy the big dance pads.
Yeah. If he gets his movie list done in time, he might be able to fit it in this summer.
I think a video of all of us doing Dance Dance Revolution would be great. We had so many Star Wars games, but I think somebody mentioned Battlefront really quick. That could have made my top 10, some version of it. Yeah. That's so much fun to just, just these big maps and just Star Wars craziness going on. And I wanted to give a kind of redemption almost to the lowly comic book game, because that is all they say. Video game movies are always terrible. That's the adage for film. For video games, comic book games are always terrible. And I have so many fond memories of comic book games. From the Avengers arcade and the X-Men arcade.
X-Men.
Those had, the graphics on those were so cool, the cel-shaded looks to it all and the depth. So those were great. Batman, the 1989 game for the original Nintendo. I talk about Maximum Carnage. That was the first time I kind of felt like Batman. You throw a batarang, or it was basically a side scroller. You're jumping on different levels.
When else did you feel like Batman?
That's a whole nother podcast right there.
That's what I mean. When was the second, third? Those are time more interesting.
When I put on a clean pair of underoos, I feel like Batman.
And then there are games that I'm sure don't get good reviews, like X2 Wolverine's Revenge. It came out after X2, and it was just, you were Wolverine, and you're wearing a leather jacket with the stripes on the arms, And I had a blast playing that game where it was kind of you had to stealth sneak up on people, and there were different combos and using your claws. It was like growing up reading comics, that's all you could ever ask for. I can be Wolverine for a few hours. And again, Spider-Man 2, based on the movie in 2004, was this huge open world. You were in Manhattan. You could go up the Chrysler Building and just jump off and swing around, and it was just so epic in scope
and hard to control.
Yeah.
the new one they showed that trailer for at E3. People are going nuts about.
Yeah.
And then we get to the Arkham series, Batman Arkham Asylum, Arkham City. That's the second time I felt like Batman playing Arkham. Arkham Asylum, that's why I bought a PS3. Because I think Arkham City was either coming out or had just come out, and everyone was talking about it. I'm like, I've never played any of these games. And I wanted so bad to recapture that feeling and feel like Batman. That's why I had to go argue with the guy that I didn't want an Xbox. He's like, Arkham Asylum's on Xbox. You could buy an Xbox. I'm like, no, I want a PS3. And I was Batman for a short time, so I don't know what more you could want. You're like, yeah, I'm not critical when it comes to the comic book games. If it's fun and gives me some enjoyment, I'm down for it. So
yeah,
that was a lot of games. That might be every game ever.
When we were at Origins last week, upstairs over Barley's was a barcade basically, and they had Captain America and Avengers. As soon as I walked up there, and it was just like it had like endless credits on it. It must be free to play while you're in there. I just sat there and threw that shield all over the place. We did it, guys.
Yep.
So thanks for listening to the last part of our video game top 10 lists. And I think I said when we started this is going to take a long time because we're never going to want to stop talking about video games. And we could probably go on all night because it's fun. It's fun to have fun.
We pretty much have went on all night.
I gotta get up soon.
Yeah.
All right. Sign us off, Jordan.
Well, thanks for joining us, Russ. Is there any social media or anything you want to plug? Do you want people to follow you anywhere or
follow me?
Find you anywhere? Give your home address?
I'll toss out. We have a Facebook group called FG Creations, and it's basically a bunch of different artists that are drawing 80s style, Transformers, just everything, comics, cartoons, people's personal stuff. There's a lot of really good artists on there, so it's FG Creations on Facebook. So
yeah, it sounds like a newer, better Michael.
Yep.
I think our core audience would enjoy 80s stuff. I think.
Cool.
So yeah, very cool for you to join us. Thank you all for listening to this epic top 10 episode. As always, my name is Jordan Lowe.
My name is Cliff Barnes. On a winged ostrich I ride.
And intently waiting to hear what was the 7th thing that made Jordan feel like Batman. I'm Seth. Bye forever.
Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast, is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Sounds, music, and clips played during the podcast are property of copyright holders. All original content is property of www.udownwithkpp.com.